Hi everyone, welcome to the New York State Museum. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's virtual field trip. My name is Anna Doran. I work here in the museum's education department, and today for our field trip, I'm very excited to take you through one of my favorite parts of the museum. We are here in Metropolis Hall, and we're going to explore the Tuck High Company. Now, this was a store that operated in Manhattan's Chinatown for 100 years before it became a part of the New York State Museum's exhibits. During our tour today, we're going to learn about the history of this store, of Chinatown in New York City, and we'll also be able to take a special look inside the store itself. So as we go through, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and we will do our best to answer them for you. Now, to give you a little background, let's take a look at where Chinatown is located. So Chinatown's located in the Lower East Side of Manhattan in an area called the Bowery. It was established in the 1850s, and it's centered around the streets of Mott, Pell, and Doyer, this area that has sort of these black outlines for the city blocks there. During the 1850s is when a large number of Chinese immigrants began to move to America and settle down across the country. Many were inspired to come by the California Gold Rush, and over the years, Chinatown has grown considerably. Today, there's over 100,000 people living in Chinatown. The first permanent resident of Chinatown in New York City was a man named Li Bao, and he was a tea merchant who moved to Doyer Street around 1850. This area has been home to a variety of different immigrant groups over the years, as each group has arrived in New York. You can see on the map here, it's actually very close to Little Italy. And this area, prior to being Chinatown, was actually called Klein Deutschland, or Little Germany, by the German immigrants who lived there. Now, in 1879, Li Feng Wen established the Tuck High Company at 19 Mott Street. He immigrated from China to San Francisco before coming to New York in 1879. The Tuck High Company operated primarily as an import and export store. About 90% of their business came from importing goods from China and exporting them to different places along the east coast of the United States and even places across the ocean in Europe. Now you can see evidence of how much shipping was happening here by the chutes to the bottom left of the storefront here. So in the actual storefront, this chute would have led to a large door directly to the basement where the shipping was managed. So this made it easier for employees to move crates and barrels from the basement up to the street side here. Now they did offer a variety of retail products as well. And if you look in the windows here, you can see a variety of these items for sale. So these are things that would be imported from China. We have some canned foods. These are lily roots, boxes of medicinal teas, some shoes. We'll head over to the window to the right here. So these are all a variety of items that would have been very difficult to get outside of Chinatown when it first was established. So when the store first opened, Chinatown was home to, it's reported, between 200 and 1,100 permanent residents. And over here you'll see some ingredients used by the herbalist, who we'll talk about later inside. We have some dried fungi, some dried mushrooms, and a white snake. And down below is a noodle knife. By 1900, Chinatown had grown and was now home to over 7,000 people. 84% of the people living in Chinatown worked in restaurant and laundry services. But in 1900, Li Feng Wen passed the store down to his nephew, Li Lian Ming. He took over the store and found great success. He supported his family of 10 children with it. And by 1929, he made the decision to move the store to a new location just down the street. So the store was moved from 19 Mott Street to 24 Mott Street, which would be its final location. Later on, over the years, Li Lian Ming was able to retire. He passed it on to one of his sons after the son had graduated from New York University, Li Hua An, and he was joined by a younger brother as well, Li Yuan An. The two brothers ran the store until 1979. And here you can see some photos of the family. We have one of the brothers behind the counter here, as well as photos of them during World War II service. Now, in 1979, the cost of rent for the building became very expensive, and the family made the decision to sell their shop to the New York State Museum, recognizing the historic importance of their store that had then operated for 100 years. So let's take a look inside the store itself.
We had one question.
Okay.
Were their customers mostly local?
Yes, mostly local. It was serving residents in Chinatown, though over the years, a variety of New Yorkers would stop by to visit. So in 1929, the last weekend when the shop was open, museum staff traveled to New York City to study the store, interview the Lee family, and begin the process of carefully moving the fixtures from the store from New York City to Albany. So what you see today is a reconstructed version of that original shop. It's a little smaller and shorter than what the shop would have actually been, just to make it easier for us to view it in the museum. And pieces are reconstructed, like the floor and the ceiling above our heads. But many of the fixtures are original, including the lamp above our heads here. Right above the herbalist counter in the back, you can see this black sign with gold writing, which has the name for Tuck High on it. And Tuck High translates to high integrity and honesty. Now you might notice it looks a little more old-fashioned than 1979 in here. When the museum assembled the shop in our gallery, they made the decision to show the store as it might have appeared when they first moved to this location at 24 Mott Street. So the store is styled to look how it would have looked in the 1930s. And you'll see a variety of items laid out. We have some of the original receipts, tools that would be used by the staff, like scales. We can head behind the counter over here. So this is the original counter from the store, as well as the original cash register. And the cash register here was actually donated to the museum by the Lee family, separate from the museum's purchase of other items on display here. Back here you can see it's set up to look how it might have looked during a typical work day. We have some of the original receipts from Tuck High's operations, an abacus here, and I'll make sure that the light can show this okay. This is a stamp with the Tuck High Company information, of course backwards. Now throughout the store you'll see some of the items that would be available for purchase. Again, things like packaged medicine, canned foods, and even items used for ceremonial or holiday celebrations. And again, the store is set up to look how it would have appeared in the 1930s. So when Tuck High closed in 1979, the products on these shelves would have been more modern. And we do actually have one package of some more modern candy right on the shelf there. But in order to make the store fit this 1930s setting, the museum acquired inventories from two other Chinatown shops. The Shing Yung Wo Company was one of them. And these two shops both sold their inventories to the museum, and you can view them here. So these are things people could stop in to pick up during going about their day. And as we come over around the corner here, here at the back of the store, you can see the herbalist counter. Now, the herbalist would be a trained professional who was trained in traditional medicinal practices that are thousands of years old, originating in China. And this would have operated much like a pharmacy. It would have been a vital service for locals to stop in to get different medicines and treatments that they might need. In 1930, it was recorded that there were 30 doctors in Chinatown, and all but 2 of these doctors were trained herbalists. Now, these medicines would be created using a variety of ingredients, including things like the dried mushrooms we saw on the counter or in the front window. Mushrooms could be used to support somebody's immune system. Things like ginseng that could help as an anti-inflammatory, ginger maybe for an upset stomach, or even things like wolfsbane that could be used to treat colds and coughs. Now, looking behind the herbalist counter, you can see just around the corner a green door. And that door in the original shop would have led to the office and the kitchen. The shop's kitchen was used to prepare candies to be sold in the store. It also would prepare foods and teas and hot foods that could be sold to customers and enjoyed in store. So not only could people stop in to get basic necessities and medicines, people would come in and enjoy a meal and tea with their neighbors. So it was a heart of the community here. Now, one final service you can see that happened here in Tuk Hai. Tuk Hai operated also as a post office. So it was common for the United States Postal Service to bring letters sent from China addressed to recipients living in Chinatown to be put out in the store for residents to pick up. And you can see right out here, right by the entrance, the original letter holder. So you can see there's a lot of stuff happening here in Tuk Hai. Having this store in our exhibit gives you a really great glimpse into some of the history of Chinatown and tells some of the story of New Yorkers throughout history. Thank you so much for joining us today, and please stay tuned for future virtual visits from the museum.